Okay, so hi.
Hi, I'm Ellie Teunion-Smith, and I teach criminal justice and sociology courses here at Santa Heights.
This class, social perspective for race and ethnicity, it's really discussion heavy, or at least it's supposed to be. So
Mhm.
now that we've moved to online due to COVID remotely, is it harder, do you think, to conduct and mediate discussions with students, or harder?
Well, when you teach race and ethnicity, it's it's one of those classes that there's usually a turning point when it's face to face. I'm telling you, it's halfway through that class because race, as you know, is a contentious issue in the United States. Some people don't want to talk about it, white or black. They just kind of, want to kind of fly under the radar in discussions. And sometimes something will rear its head in a class that will help me get it over that hump where people actually want to talk. I'll be honest, I've had, many courses that go almost all the way to the end and people are still, you know, not participating or don't want to participate and don't want to learn it necessarily, or they've hit a wall and they don't believe it and they're just doing the bare minimum to get by. And so you have all types of personalities coming to the table on race and ethnicity. And then I've had classes that have like a couple years ago, I had a class and we had this discussion about the N word, and was the N word, so there had been a common dialogue day, and a group of students actually had a breakout session, and they were talking about the word, and they were taught. And I remember being in class, and they had went to this breakout, and some of the students came back from this this session, and they started to bring up what was said, and it was about the hard R or not the hard R, and the word. And we had been talking. I said, don't give the word, and I'm going to use it here. I don't want to offend you or anybody else, but I says I don't want to give power to that word. So let's take the power away from the word nigger. And they were saying that's a hard R. Well, I had not heard that way that it was put. Well, anyways, this class, I'm telling you what, Cheyenne, turned into this. When that class was done that day, nobody wanted to leave. We were still discussing it. We were having a great discussion, and I think there was about 18 people in that class. And I said, hey, we've got a lot of power here. If you have to leave, leave. But if you don't, I said, stick around. Let's continue and have our conversation. And they did, and it was so powerful and it was so cool. And then the next class, it opened up more, and I would say it was the last quarter of that class, and it turned into have this a great impact on everybody. And then our final projects, I even circled around what some of the students had said to me and came back to them in a way that made them explore it more. Or students that I saw that seemed really uncomfortable by something, I actually gave them something that I wanted them to learn about that may have given them some angst and stress, and look at it from an academic point and see if it would lighten up with them. And so race and ethnicity is tough, whether it's face-to-face or remote. And I imagine people get out of this class what they want to get out of that class, because I always have what I call my lump on the logs that are just, they're not going to get anything out of it anyways. And then I have other students that step up and they're on fire. And then I have other ones that are just like, they're kind of riding the fence. And it's one of those things you present, you don't know, and you try to help them learn it. But some just look at it as it's just another class when it's transformative for other people. And as a sociologist and a teacher, I never know what it's going to be for that class. So I've never taught this class remotely. So it'll be interesting to see if some people, with their anonymity of being isolated and away from their classmates, maybe they'll say more, maybe they'll say less. I don't know yet. It's an interesting, that's a great question. And I guess we'll have to wait and see for sure.
And well, you kind of already said that there's always going to be those lumps on a log that just are just going to sleep and doze off.
Yeah.
But do you think that it is a lot easier for them too, though, because they are online and they can just click off whenever they want to?
Oh, yeah. I'm positive that, being remote, I try to stay on top of it. So like when I'm doing stuff, I'm constantly, if I'm showing something, I'm looking at the screen and watching the students too. I'm trying to, if you see me presenting something, but you oftentimes, whether I'm looking at content or I'm looking at students on the screen, like who's trying to do this, like you get a lot of, where people think, oh, they don't know what I'm doing, or you get the ones that they're trying to show like this, and that means that they're doing something else, and they think that, maybe I was born in the morning, but I wasn't born this morning. So I've tried to do it in terms of, hey, let's watch a video or let's watch a movie, which we've done in the past too. People seem to respond really good to movies. I try to find ones that people haven't seen before and try to think of them in a different format than that was a great movie too. Did they recognize maybe the racial issues or the different issues that I'm hoping that they look at within the movie? So yeah, it's changed a couple little things of what you want students to do, but that is what it is. Excuse me.
And this has kind of been a heavy topic with teachers across the country who are doing these remote virtual classes, and they are insisting and really defending their stance on having the cameras on, like their students' cameras on to see their faces and not just have a black screen. And there's been some pushback because, well, some kids aren't comfortable in their home environment and showing what's in their home environment. And so they're saying like, well, have them do like a little avatar or something like that, or like do something to where, or not even just require it, because it shouldn't be counted for their part of their grade, and just check in every once in a while and say like, hey, are you here, and stuff like that, and then they can just respond. So, and I know this is a requirement for your class, so why is it?
Well, I could see if they're, and you know what I'd say about if they don't want to see their home environment, I'd say, well then, set up a sheet behind you, hang a sheet, or get closer in and bring your camera closer. But go ahead, Hunt, man, you can get into there. You can, I want to see if they're paying attention. For example, was it our class the other day? Was it? No, I don't think it was. And the student, all of a sudden I could only see like the tile floor, and it was for the longest time. I kept saying their name and couldn't hear them. I thought, what, did they fall on the tile floor and pass out? And then, but you can see students' faces, and if they're interacting, and if they are shocked by something or happy. So I like to be able to see, and if somebody were going to say, I have a problem because I don't want to show you my background, I'd say, well then part of your preparation is going to be hanging put a couple chairs behind you with a towel over it or whatever, and hide your background. Also, there's a way, if you look at different things on Zoom or Teams, you can blur your background so that you don't have to show it. They're coming up with those type of things so that people can, and there's actually people that set up their backgrounds to like be impressive, like have a row of books and this. I just happen to be in my office where I have 2 screens and I'm doing my work, and you can see it's quite a mess over my shoulder over here, but whatever. But I get it. But it's about seeing how students' faces change, if they're enjoying what you're saying. I get a lot of students that will be sitting there, and all of a sudden I'll do something goofy, and they'll go, I can see them go. And I'm happy that I was able to pull that off. Or people will, look at you and give you the furrowed brow, and you know that, oh, I should probably go into more detail there. So that's why I require it, Cheyenne.
Yeah. On the student perspective, do you really how do you think it's going for them? Like, how do you feel they're dealing with all of this and everything's changing, especially in terms of student athletes?
Well, I think the student athletes are having a hell of a time right now because, that's part of the school culture. And I would say it's affecting everybody. I have a daughter who's a sophomore at Tiffin University, and she was really sick. I mean, she never even made it to her first class and was sick with COVID and was, ended up in an emergency room and on inhalers and steroids. And so, and this kid has got the most tenacity. She's a great student. She's a science major. She was a 4.0 in high school. So it's not that she gives up on anything. She doesn't give up on anything, by the way. And I saw where this COVID and school and trying to learn remotely at the same time as being sick and not being able to play softball almost broke her. Like she was ready to come home. And I thought, wow. And that kind of helps me check in with my students. If I got a couple of students that I've already reported them to, early alert system saying, hey, this person's already starting to fail. And I've only got 3 or 4 assignments under their belt in certain classes. So I'll check in with them, but after this week. But I think a lot of students are dealing with isolation, not getting to play sports, not necessarily doing well at learning remotely. And I think this is going to impact some grades. It's going to impact some maybe decisions of what students want to do with their lives. It could change career directions. I mean, there's so many implications to what's going on with students, and I feel for them. I totally do. Especially after watching my daughter go through that and realizing, man, she got taken to her knees, and then she almost left college, and she absolutely loved college last year and excelled at it. And to see that happen to one of my own kids, plus being an educator for the last 16 years and with college students, I was like, I reach out to my students and say, hey, you know what, if you need me on a one-on-one, and I'm at home on Teams, but I have time set aside, and I have to start doing that now that we're 3 weeks in, saying, hey, I'm going to be on my computer, and if you want me, call me, and have it accessible to everybody. So.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Cheyenne.
Bye.